Tonight, guys, I give you the reason why you should have this book. We are going to treat the year 1915, which obviously was a year of war, and so there were not many tournaments. But Alekhine plays a game against Grigoriev, and there is this fantasy variation and this story that, in my opinion, is worth the price of a book because I didn't know it. And also to find the game and witness it, it's really a great thing because we are witnessing the past history, something that happened more than 110 years ago. So please bear with me, it will be a little long, but it will be worth it. Okay, so 1915, no major tournaments due to the war. With the war ravaging Europe, there are few chess events in 1915. There is some minor activity in America, Russia, and, oddly enough, in Germany, where the Russian internees contest a few tournaments. The game that I'm going to show you is N. Grigoriev against Alexander Alekhine, played in Moscow in 1915. This is the introduction to the game. This game's main claim to fame is not what happened in the play itself, but an amazing fantasy variation which Alekhine dreamed up. He actually cited this as a game with him playing white, and it became known as Alekhine's Five Queens game. However, there is no evidence that the Five Queens line ever occurred, while Alekhine was notorious for such invention. Well, it may be an invention, but it means that the guy dreamed up something, right? First I will give you this dream up variation, and then I will give you the real game played between Grigoriev and Alekhine. So e4, e6, d4, d5, knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, bishop b4, e5, h6, e takes f6, h takes g5, f takes g7, and here there is rook g8, h4, g takes h4, queen g4, so it's protecting this, that obviously is kind of valuable, but difficult to keep it. Bishop e7, g3, and c5. So here there is a diagram in the book because up to this moment the game is identical to Grigoriev-Alekhine. So we don't know if a guy dreamed up something that he actually played, right? But at this point there is the fantasy variation. In the game with Grigoriev, he castle queenside. Instead, the fantasy variation game starts with g take h4. So, and these guys tell you how deep these guys analyze. In that time, they didn't have chess base, they didn't have a way to save it, they had to write it by hand, right? And then they had to bring the score of all those pages with them. Otherwise, how would they have them? How would they remember them? C takes d4, h5, things are becoming spicy, right? D takes c3, h6, c takes b2, and here there is rook b1, By the way, guys, it's really pleasant to play with these pieces because they are so heavy that you cannot imagine. This king, you could smash it in someone's face and they go down because it's like a punch. It's so heavy. It's exercise. I mean, if you do it 10 times like this, you have done your heavy weight exercise. It's a fact. Okay, let's go back to the game. Queen a5, king e2, and now there is a mistake by black. Black plays queen takes a2, h7, queen takes b1, h take g8, queen, king d7, queen takes f7, queen takes e2, check, king f3, knight c6, and now there is queen g takes e6, and it's a mistake, or at least it's a dubious move. I don't know if these mistakes and dubious move are put by the author, okay, so probably they are. Rook, king c7, queen f4 check, king b6, queen e goes on e3 check, bishop c5, and now guys there is another queen here, so I need this is what we did in ancient times, right? Now we have 3 queens and nothing, and then there is b1, also a queen, so we have a 5 queen on the board. Sorry that I don't have another queen. Let me see if I have a real queen, because obviously it's interesting to see. So I found a queen from another set. As you can see, is not so majestic, but it's okay. I mean, we are all different, right? Okay, so now we have really 5 queen on the board. Let's see where we were. Okay, and here there is a diagram. Now, guys, if you are white, you could imagine what is the amazing move that you should play now. The amazing move for white, you can pause and try to guess it up. And of course it's scary, because 5 queens. How many moves can you actually calculate? Right? Or how many candidate moves will you calculate? White played rook h6. This is a double exclam. And here there is a mistake by black that plays queen takes f1. Better was bishop g4, it seems. And avoid the immediate loss, and there is a line, okay? So after that there is a queen b4 check, and you cannot take it because this is pin, okay? So he plays queen b5, but now there is another check by a queen, queen d8 check. And now we see why rook h6 was so great, because this is pin, so it cannot take, right? King a6, and now there is the last move, which is queen e3, a3 check. And this is the end. It's given 1-0. So what could be the answer for black in this position? I think I could play this, just to delay the inevitable. When it's taken, it probably can take again, and then takes, and here is checkmate, because this cannot go here because it's pinned. The king cannot go here because of this queen, so all the squares are covered. So I don't know why he didn't just give all the thing up to the checkmate eventually, since he dream up to now. Why not dream it up to the checkmate? Okay, guys, now after we have seen this 5 queen on the chessboard, we go back and we see the real game played between Grigoriev and Alekhine. Keep in mind, the 4th 11 moves, 10 moves are the same. However, I will make them over the board because I find it interesting. Okay guys, now I'm showing you the game from the black side because Alekhine is black and Alekhine will win. So I generally try to show it to you from the winner side because I hope you will pause during the video and try to find out some moves and work it out, because in this way the video is not just showing you a review of a book, but is helping you to become a better player. So chess improvement. E4, E6, D4, D5, Knight C3, Knight F6, Bishop G5, Bishop B4, E5, H6, E takes F6, H takes G5, and F takes G7. Nice move, right? Rook G8, H4, G takes H4, and of course the queen goes here to try to support that. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, some people like to save dogs or cat from the shelter, and that's really great. I like to save imperfect chess sets. This is an imperfect chess set, so it's not perfect. What does it mean? It means that sometimes the chess maker ends up with some pieces that are mismatched because other pieces got broken in the shipping or something happened, and so they have all these pieces and they try to sell them at a lower price. Generally a chess set like this that would be perfect would be maybe $400, right? But because it's an imperfect chess set, it's maybe I paid it 100 or 150, and for me it's a pleasure because the pieces are really the most heavy you can find. You cannot imagine, it's really like a pound, just this. I mean, if you throw it in someone's face, it's destroyed. It's a crime, it's a weapon. And this is also the proof that chess is a sport, because if you play 10 blitz game with this kind of pieces, you will be extremely tired after. Okay, in any case, apart the jokes, it's pleasant if you're not rich, and I'm not. Obviously, sometimes I like to buy these because they are really less expensive, and they give me that pleasure of touching chess pieces that are in wood but are very heavy. Yet they may have minor also imperfections, but to me it's worth it. Honestly, it's worth it, especially in the repro case. Of course, if I would be rich, probably I wouldn't do it, but since I'm not, why not, right? And then it's also nice the fact that it's this kind of glossy, lucid thing that they made, also that makes it more expensive, a lot of things. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Now after queen g4, black goes back to e7, and then here we have g3 and c5. So one is fighting that pawn, the other is fighting for the center. And here we finally start the Grigoriev versus Alekhine game. Grigoriev, which was famous for a book about endgames and studies, pawn studies, played castle on the queen side. And Alekhine continue with queen c6, that is considered dubious. D takes e5, queen e5, king b1, because probably this was the thing to move this and then this would fall. So, like I said, after king b1, there is e5. e5 seems to be a mistake. Why e5? It's attacking the queen g4 and is supporting this central advance, central thrust. In the French, this kind of central thrust, if successful, it's a win for black. I tell you because I played this kind of games. When you are able to advance the pawns in the French, for white is over. I tell you already, it's over. Queen h5, bishop e6. And now there is a mistake by white, that is, so the right move for white would have been this. Instead, white played knight takes d5. And this allows black a devastating counterattack. Okay, so what does black play? He plays bishop takes d5. Rook takes d5, and I think you can see what is the next move by black, right? The next move is knight b4. Rook takes e5, queen takes a2, king c1, and now you don't want this king to escape, right? So what do you think black played? Black played castle, and this rook now blocks the escape file, right? So obviously white wants to have a way out and plays bishop d3. Queen a1, check, king d2, and oops, another pawn is gone. Now, if you see the material, you obviously think black is down, right? But the thing is, black is actually attacking, white is not doing much, in my opinion. Okay, so the white king is trying to run a marathon and he tries to escape, but unfortunately black doesn't allow him much. Queen f5, check, king b8, and now there is again a big problem here, right? What does he do? He played rook e4. Black played rook takes d3, c takes d3, bishop d4, and here he played king f4, but after queen takes f2 he resigned and black won. Here he says, chess news in brief, 4 tournaments are contested at Triberg between the Russian internees. Bogolyubov comes out on top in all of them. So when he says Russian internees, he means prisoners, okay? They were in a kind of prison camp. And here it says also, and this was 1915, it says Capablanca wins a relatively weak tournament at New York. He scored 13 out of 14, is 1 point more than Marshall. And of course, here there is world news in brief, because that's the beauty of this book, that the author made this kind of correlation. Here he says, on the Western Front, the conflict becomes one of attrition, as both sides entrench their positions. This new form of combat, trench warfare, sees appalling suffering and massive loss of life over small territorial gains. Germany's use of poison gas adds a new dimension of horror. Italy enters the war on the side of Britain, France and Russia, and declares war on Bulgaria. Bulgaria enters the war on the side of Germany and Austria. On the Eastern and Balkan front, Germany and Austria make more gains, invading the Baltic provinces and taking several major cities, including Warsaw, Brest-Litovsk and Belgrade. I think one thing is Baltic state, but Belgrade is in the south, so I don't know. The Allies attempt to capture Istanbul and so knock the Ottoman Empire out of the war. But here it says the Allies attempt to capture Istanbul ends in failure, so I don't know. Aircraft begin to play a greater role in the war. A German submarine torpedoes the Lusitania, a passenger ship traveling between New York and Liverpool, which sinks, and with a loss of about 1,200 lives, 1,200, okay? This leads to increased pressure for the United States to abandon its policy of neutrality. In central Italy, an earthquake kills 29,000 people. Wow. And then he continues saying the 4th transcontinental telephone call is made. And this is the end of the news for 1915. Thank you very much for watching. I think it was exciting, extremely exciting to see the game with the 5 queens that I never heard of. But of course, the author says probably it wasn't true. But okay, maybe it wasn't true, but who cares? I mean, we had some fun, right? And that's the important part, I think. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.